Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition. Matter of fact, episode 40. We made it 40 episodes. Well, it probably doesn't hurt that I do 3 to 5 a week, but even so, welcome to another episode of Creators Outlet. We want to give a big shout out to our sponsor for this video, SpinWiz Comics at spinwizcomics.com. It is a web and indie discovery platform for comic reading. That's right. It'll let you read free comics. You can download the app on either iOS or Android. They also have a rewards program. Every page of comics you read gets you an entry into their monthly, quarterly, and annual giveaway. Check out spinwiz.comics.com right now for yourself and get to reading some free comics. And here's a little more about it. Welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Roland Mann. Roland, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we already have your friend Hyper Potato.
Woohoo! Thanks, Hyper. What's up? Yeah, see, those are important words right there. He has delivered on every campaign I have backed. Thank you, Hyper Potato, so very much. I appreciate that. I was telling somebody the other day, Will, that I thought that was important for us to try to communicate about our current Kickstarter, is that this is my ninth, but my first one didn't make, so I don't count it. I didn't make my funding goal, and I learned a whole lot. So really, this is my eighth one, and as of this Kickstarter, this one, I'm 7 for 7 and shipping all of my books on time. And I think that's important because if you are familiar with the whole crowdfunding scene, you know that there's a bunch of product out there that doesn't quite ship when they say they're going to. Mm-hmm. And not going to call any names, because if you're into crowdfunded books, you know exactly the multitude of books I'm talking about. But it's important for me that I'm not on that list. I don't ever want to be on that list of I backed this campaign and never got my book. So I'll tell you a secret of how I do. You want to know the secret, Will, of how that happens? My books are finished.
The books are all finished before I even put the Kickstarter up. And
yes, so they're done, and now we're asking for help to help us get them printed. And I showed you the little special cover. Help us get them printed. Do a little special cover. Help us make that happen, and you're going to get your book. So that's important to me as both a creator and as a fan, because I support a lot of indie crowdfunders, and I get frustrated at the ones that I'm still waiting on too. So,
well, everybody says their favorite part is if they fund within the first 24 hours or just fund it all.
Yeah.
And everybody has told me that the worst part of a whole crowdfunding campaign is the fulfillment.
I don't mind the fulfillment. For me, it's kind of exciting because that's what I'm working towards. I'm working towards getting a book in the hands of people who believe in me enough to pay, as we were talking before we started, a little more money than you would give at the comic shop, right, for the comic, in order to help me make it happen. And I think that's what I like. One of the things I like about the crowdfunders is people are like, okay, you know what? I know that you wouldn't be normally asking $20 for this book or $10 for this book, that I could probably pick it up from you. If it's a $10 book, I could probably get it from you for $5, $6, $7 at the show. But I know you're trying to make all this happen, so I'm willing to make this happen. Plus, I get a special edition. And I forgot where I was going with that. But it's important to me to deliver the product.
I think it's just in the year of COVID.
Yeah.
You used to be able to have friends and relatives come over and help you pack up, all the books that the people ordered, and the goodie bags for
Yep.
bookmarks, placemats, what have you, and box them up, tape them up,
Yeah.
slap the labels on there, and get going. And this year it's like, well, you're not supposed to have everybody over your house that doesn't live in your house. So
Right. Yeah.
if the creator is fairly newly married and they don't have any children, you lose your labor force right there.
That's right.
So I know that you've got an extensive background in comic books prior to Silverline.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry itself?
Sure. I started in the industry in the late 80s, thanks to the boom, the black and white boom of the late 80s. And of course, I attribute that boom all to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who came out in 86, I think. There were independent comics before that, of course, but but when the Turtles hit and did so well, that they led just a boom of independent comics, and I was able to get in to the industry at that time. So I am forever and always thankful for to the Turtles for that. And so I started as a writer. Cat and Mouse was the first book that I ever did, and I was very fortunate that it got picked up by Malibu Comics. It went through two other publishers before being picked up by Malibu, and we ran 18 issues. It ran for about 2 years, 18 issues through Malibu. And I don't know if you remember Comic Shop News, the printed newspaper.
Oh yeah,
we made their top 10 black and white comic list for about half of our run. So very, very fortunate in that. That led me to other work. I got to write some other comics, mostly for Malibu, but some for Caliber. I got to write Miss Fury. I got to write The Arrow. I did a Lita Ford one shot. If you don't know who Lita Ford is, she's the rocker who does the duet with Ozzy Osbourne. Everybody knows who Ozzy is. I wrote a Planet of the Apes miniseries back when Malibu had the license, and I had a lot of fun with that. I set my little ape story in futuristic Memphis, because I'm from the South. I grew up in Mississippi, born in Memphis, grew up in Mississippi. So it was fun to bring the apes to Memphis, where we get to see some Elvis paraphernalia. That led me to a job at Malibu Comics. Malibu hired me in '92, and I moved out to California, and I became the editor for the Protectors line of comics. So I did Protectors and all that family, which included like Gravestone, Man of War, The Ferret. I also edited Dinosaurs For Hire, edited the X Mutants, and a few other odds and ends, like things like Necroscope and Raver, until we got another editor in. Then they took all that up, and then I focused exclusively on that. And then the Ultraverse came along in '93, and then all the Protectors books got canceled, and they moved me over to the Ultraverse, where I edited about half of the titles. I edited titles like The Strangers, Nightman, Sludge, Prototype, Mantra, things like that.
I read and collected that entire line.
Well, then if you've still got them, my name is easy to find on those books. I was very fortunate. I got to write one. I co-wrote The Eliminator with my pal Hank Knaltz, and Mike Zeck did the artwork for it. So I'm super, super stoked to have gotten to work with Mike Zeck.
There were a couple other books in there that I knew, including Miss Fury.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I had a couple of back in the day. I had some Miss Fury books and The Ferret.
Yeah.
Because I looked The Ferret because I was a big fan of Badger, and I was like, well, animals.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I hesitate to say because I don't have any artwork to show you right now, but I'm actually going to, Miss Fury is public domain now, and so because I got to write that miniseries in the early '90s, I'm actually bringing back. I say bringing back. I know that Dynamite has done some, and Billy Tucci has worked on some Miss Fury, but I'm going to bring my version of Miss Fury into a story that I'm working on right now that's being drawn by Peter Clinton and inked by Thomas Formonti. That will be part of the whole cat and mouse world. But yeah, I'm going to introduce a Miss Fury into that world, and I'm excited about that.
Very cool. Hyper Potato is curious to what you were reading from Boom. He seems to know everyone from that time period.
You know what? I think I read. So what happened after I missed out on the turtles? I still remember the turtles thing very clearly. Okay, I had a comic shop that I absolutely loved. The owner was Brendan Kavanaugh. Messy store. And if he were listening right now, he would probably laugh and say, "Yeah, it's true." But here's the deal: even though he had stacks and piles of comics, you literally had to, in places, step carefully not to step on piles of comics. He knew where everything was. I remember one time coming in the store saying, "Brennan, I'm looking for some Miller Daredevil," and he says, "Oh, it's right over there. Now you'll see something. If you'll dig up under those, I got about 5 or 6 of them in there." He knew exactly where everything was. And I remember coming into the store one time, walking into the door, and I wasn't 2 feet inside. He goes, "You need to check out that book right there." And right next to the wall, he had brand new comic book, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Number one. I picked it up. I flipped through it. I'm like, and I put it back on the rack. And of course, you know what happened. Like 2 weeks later, it was $100, and I'm like, what the crap? And so I started buying just about everything. But he's looking for titles, so I would read things like I read a lot of the first comics, Badger and Nexus. I read Innovation. I read that they had some stuff called Hero Alliance. I read and I enjoyed. I read. I'm trying to cycle through my memory of books at the time. I read Elementals. Absolutely loved Bill Willingham's Elementals. And,
Oh yeah, great series.
Was very very excited that I got to do a Vortex miniseries in the early '90s. Elementals. Let's see. Read a lot of Elf Quest at the time. If it was independent, I was probably drawn to it. The Southern Knights. Read some Southern Knights stuff. Justice Machine. I read some Grimjack, but I probably should have read more. I didn't read enough. Scout. Read Scout. Love Scout.
I have over here somewhere in the dark. Well, that way. Reverse camera angles. I hate them. With all the technology, can you get rid of the reverse camera angles and just make it regular? I'm not a fighter pilot. I actually have a full set of Scout, including the bonus book that was the lay of the land, the maps, and the index book.
Cool.
I have that whole thing. And I'm waiting until Tim Truman's done with the new Scout.
I back that project.
So I can get the entire thing in hardcover.
Yeah. I think I have most of it. I'd have to go back and look. Not sure if I do or not. I know I have a bunch. I have all the early stuff. Not sure that I have it all, but yeah. Those are the ones that come to mind immediately.
DN Agents.
I read DN Agents. I sure did. I read The Mark. I read DN Agents because that was that was Hudnall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the other book he did? Well, I can't think of it right now.
One of my favorites from that time was Mike Krell's John Sable Freelance.
Yep, Sable. I read a smattering of Sable. Probably should have read more, and it's only been in the recent years that I've been going back and buying, trying to complete my Sable collection. And once I get a bunch of them, I'm going to sit down and read the whole thing all over again. I did read some Sable, but not very much. I did like Warlord though. He did when he started on Warlord. I picked that up and read that probably until he left.
Yeah, I missed out. Back in the day, my local comic shop had a full shot of Warlord, including like all the specials and annuals and everything.
Wow.
This is going back probably about 25 years, but it was, they sold it for like, 40, 50 bucks, something like that. So
Perfect.
that's some of the books I'm buying from that program I told you about.
Yep.
Every once in a while he'll pull like, one or two Warlords out, and they'll be like a buck a piece. I'm like, right here.
Yeah.
Right
Put them in my box.
I got them.
Yeah. I buy. I'm. That's pretty much my major buying today. Really in two places. Okay, obviously we don't have a lot of conventions today, so I can't do this as much. But I shop out of the cheap boxes because I think there's so much gold in there
Mm-hmm.
that people just overlook. Most of it independent stuff. I'm not really interested in the '90s glut stuff. Um, because there were a lot of books printed in the early '90s. Most of it from Image. Most people have a dozen copies of all those anyway. I'm not that interested in those books in the cheap boxes, but I am very interested in anything from the '70s and '80s, and even into the '90s as independent books. So that's one part, and then the other part, I buy a lot of Kickstarter books. I shouldn't say Kickstarter, crowdfunded books.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I read just I would read anything that I could buy, but I am glad you and I are in the same TMNT club.
uh
Oh, good lord! There must have been like 5, 6 copies of the oversized book sitting there, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
yep, yeah.
And my friend that owns the store now, he's like,
I told you.
it's some new book. The creators are out of mass. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And right next to that was radioactive black belt hamsters,
I bought that.
followed by the fish police.
I bought that.
And I'm like,
I
this
bought
is
the.
this is stupid. Do you got the new Batman?
Yep. I bought the.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm an ass.
I bought the geriatric jujitsu gerbils. Um. Yeah. I bought those.
I was heavily into Lone Wolf and Cub though.
Oh, Lone Wolf and Cub is one of those that didn't get onto my radar until later, and it's on my list of things to eventually go complete. But I'm aware of it, and I've read bits and pieces, but I unfortunately don't really have much in the way of Lone Wolf and Cub, and I know that it's a spot
Yeah,
I need to fix.
I sat down and read it about a year and a half ago. I got like a free like 30-day trial for Comixology,
Yeah.
and Lone Wolf and Cub was one of the titles that you could borrow for
Yep.
free in your queue. So I sat down. I read like the first 2 trades like back to back. I'm like, oh, this is great, and then I forgot about it because I got busy doing this stuff. And oh, I don't remember the cartoon.
No, I don't either. I don't think I ever saw it. Wonder if it's available on YouTube.
It could very well be.
So much is available on YouTube. Yeah, I don't remember the cartoon either.
Hey, we're available on YouTube right now.
That's right. I will tell you though, today because of who I am, every time I hear Fish Police mentioned, I think of the song "Wet Dreams" by Kipadada, and I don't know why, but I do. It's a really funny song. The whole thing uses nothing but fish terms, throughout the song. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Demento, another 70s
Oh yeah.
crossover, I guess.
Oh yeah, I know who he is.
Yep, and I used to listen to a lot of Dr. Demento. Probably still have my CDs, maybe. Um, don't know if I do or not. Yes, I still own CDs.
So do I. I was
Oh,
a nightclub DJ for 35 years.
yeah,
So
Dr. Demento. So,
yeah, Potato says he thinks John Ritter voiced Inspector Gill. It,
wow,
it was a primetime show and disappeared fast.
wow. Oh, I'll have to look that one up. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, that's definitely something to find. It might be available on like one of the animation streaming sites or something.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be in one of those, you know, offbeat uh, college DVD stores or something. So let's get into what we came to talk about. We just wanted to get like a little background on you. Now I
Sure.
know. Now I'm excited because I know Miss Fury is going to be coming back into Cat and Mouse there.
Yep.
Um, you have a double Kickstarter.
I do.
Gee, high aspirations, much?
Well, part of the reason is, I have so many projects going. I started looking into trying to figure out, okay, well, if I do this here and do this here and do this here, um, you know, it's gonna be 2025 before I get to do this. So I just decided, you know what? I'm making comics, and as long as people are liking them and are interested in them, why not offer two of them at the same time? Um, Trump's is Cat and Mouse, where this is issue number 3 for Cat and Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a 4-issue miniseries. We're working on number 4, as we talk. But Trump's, I already had most of it done, and so I'm like, well, I could wait another 3 months and try to do it, but why not go ahead and do it now? Um, and Silverline has so many projects going on that this is actually our third double Kickstarter. We're
Wow.
calling them our double features, and in fact, the last one we actually, well, the one before that too. The last two we printed as flip books, so you could get good old fashioned flip books. Talking about the '90s, one on one side, one on the other. We can't do that with Trump's because I'm sorry, we can't do that with Trump's and Cat and Mouse because Trump's is 48 pages. And so that would have put us having a thick book, and the printer that I work with, Kablam, whoop, I don't have my Kablam shirt on, said, yeah, that's you're not going to get a good fold on a 70 page book. And so he said, you're better off doing them as two individuals. And so that's why we're doing that. But yeah, I like the flip books. They're fun for Kickstarter as an exclusive, because you get the Kickstarter exclusive covers. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm doing both of them. It's time to get Cat and Mouse 3 out, and there's a new one out there, so why not?
And not just that, but people buying two books together will save on shipping instead of buying two books separately.
Yep, that's absolutely right.
Especially in the crowdfunding world.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that actually that's a very good selling point on it. Is like we're doing Trump's anyway, so it's going to happen, and many of the backers, I'm my heart goes out. I'm very appreciative, and many of them will probably back it anyway. So if I can save them on some postage by putting two books together, so that they don't have to back this one and they back this one, then I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, because I had commented on one of your posts in Comic Book Madness. Big shout outs to Pops.
Pops, what's up, Pops?
Because the Trumps reminded me a little bit of, like I said I said the other week, the Royal Flush Gang.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that it made me think of.
Yeah.
And it's not. And I had to look carefully, like twice. I go, Trump's. Oh, please don't be another parody political comic.
Yeah.
There's more than enough of those out there.
Yeah.
And then I saw it, and I'm like, oh, it looks kind of like the Royal Flush Gang. I go, it's not really like the Royal Flush Gang, but the imagery made me think of that, like right off the bat.
Well, I put this on my desk recently because of the title. And we actually even kind of kicked it around a little bit. Said, well, based on the political climate today, do we want to do it? Do we want to change it? And I mean, whether Trump's is a perfect title for what we're doing, though. And so, ultimately, I decided this. Okay, here's the deal. If you love Trump and you see my comic or my announcement, and you want to go check out the Kickstarter, you're going to get there and you're going to see, oh, this has nothing to do with President Trump, and it's all about based on playing cards. Yeah. Okay. If you hate President Trump and you go, oh, this is a book based on Trump, and you go to my site and you go, oh, it has nothing to do with President Trump, it's based on cards. I've just gotten you to look at my Kickstarter on the name alone, which has nothing to do with current American politics. And I decided that I'm okay with that. If it gets you to go, if just the name alone gets you to go take a peek at the Kickstarter, whether you love it or whether you hate it, you've gone to look at the Kickstarter, and then either way you'll have seen, oh, it's not about modern politics after all. But it looks really good. Let me see what this is all about. So I opted to kind of keep the title because I thought it would, ultimately get more eyeballs, but it has nothing to do with current American politics at all.
And I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, me too. I'm good with that. I don't want to be. I don't want to be one of these that tries to draw a line and with politics. I want people on the left to read my comics, and I want people on the right to read my comics. And in fact, the comics that I write, I think can be read by anybody, and they're not targeted at either one of those groups. I just try to write comics like they used to do it in the Silver Age, and it can be entertainment for anybody.
Just write a good story and people will read.
Yep. So, but yeah, here's that gorgeous metallic gold cover that is the Kickstarter exclusive cover for Trump's that I'm really excited about. You can see if I move, you can kind of see the gold sheen in the light. I'm really excited about this. And that's another thing too. If you look closely, you can see the spades and clubs and hearts and diamonds. It's pretty clearly not R's and D's.
It's purty and shiny.
It is purty and shiny. Yeah, and you can only get the purty and shiny through the Kickstarter. You can still get the book after we're done. Obviously, you can still get it, but you don't get the purty and the shiny.
Nope. You gotta, just get, what you get.
Yep. We'll still have a cover, and it'll still look good, but it's not going to be the bells and the whistles and the exclusive covers.
Yeah, same story.
Yep, same story, same inside, but obviously, we talked about this a little bit before. I'm certainly a child of the times. I grew up reading comics in the 70s and in 80s, but when I got into comics, it was the 80s and the early 90s, and that was all about the gimmick. And I'm not saying that this is a gimmick because I believe in the stories, but it seems like we've kind of circled back to a period of time where people are interested in the gimmicky things. And I'm as a creator, as a writer, if you want gold metallic covers, I'm not beyond giving you a gold, I'm not above giving you a gold metallic cover if that means that you'll buy the book. And I think the idea is that, if for some fans, maybe not everybody, but some fans, is like, oh, if I get this gold metallic cover, and Trumps goes on to do well with readers, I've got this exclusive thing that's only, excuse me, that's only going to be in the hands of, don't know how many we'll end up with. The campaign is still going, but let's just say 150. It's only in the hands of 150 people. Now, we print these to backers. Now, what that means, though, is that if there's 150 people who get the Kickstarter, I don't print just 150 because I'm going to get one. Right, I'm gonna get one. The creators of the projects are gonna get one. The penciler, the inkers, and that kind of thing. But if there's not 50 of us who work on the book, so there's going to be, and I don't know the number yet, but it certainly won't be much more than the number of backers. So that's why I think on our Kickstarter
you
we
do
say
like a small percentage of
yes.
overprint one, so everybody that worked on the book gets one.
Yep.
And a very minuscule handful to, buff it in case you get like a couple of damages that come through.
Well, so we've handled our own fulfillment, and Kablam has handled our fulfillment. And I will have to say, out of the 7 Kickstarters that we've done, we've only had, and I'd have to go back and look and see how many packages we've had. We've only ever had one that was damaged, and it was because it was in one of those white flat envelopes. That what happened? The mailman actually folded the package and shoved it in the mailbox. Totally not our fault. It was certainly packaged in a thing that said "Do not bend." But so we've been very fortunate that, and
that's how mailmen get shot.
Yeah. So
just saying.
We're very careful. Kablam has always been very careful to in their packaging, and we are as well, because we know. That's if you get your book and it's bent or the corners are dinged, you're going to be unhappy, and that's the last thing that we want.
Oh, most definitely. Happy customer, and you'll have probably like a happy customer for life. So
yeah, and that's where I think the story comes in. I think I think the customer has to obviously be drawn to the cover, the shiny or the artwork and that thing. But once they read it, I think, okay, this is cool. I want to come back for another one. And I think that's how you get them to return. And I have to say, I am very honored that there are, on my current Kickstarter, there's a good many names that I have seen on a previous Kickstarter, and I really, really appreciate that. It makes
like potato.
Yeah, like potato. That's right. It makes me feel like I'm doing something right. It's kind of an affirmation by them saying, "Hey, I did this thing. I supported you on this other thing, and I'm back again." That tells me, okay, cool. I did something right. Let me keep doing this because Hyper Potato liked it.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's Irish.
I don't know.
I can get away with that because I'm Irish. If you couldn't tell, it's like, wow, Casper didn't age well.
No.
No. If he's not, he'll throw something in the comments for us, I'm sure.
No, I'm Southern, so the only thing that I would have guessed about you is you sound like you're from the New England area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Originally from the dirtiest little state in the Union, Rhode Island, and I've been a mass hole for a little over 15 years now.
I don't know. Oh, Massachusetts. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep. I'm a mass hole.
Yeah. So.
And I live south of Boston right now.
Gotcha. So see, I was pretty good on guessing my accent, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, another potato.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Hyper.
I have to put several creators on my poop list for poor packaging and telling me it isn't that damaged. Oh my God.
Yeah, that would frustrate the crap out of me. And I think that they would make my poop list too.
Hey, I
Um,
was
oh, there you go. Yeah, Irish, Scottish, and British. So I got to ask you, Hyper, have you done one of those DNA things? Um, I did not the 23andMe. I did the other one. What's the other one?
I know it too. It just can't.
Yeah, I did it, and the more the people do it, the broader their DNA spectrum gets. And about every 6 months, I did it. I guess probably about 2 years ago. And about every 6 months, they say your DNA map has been updated. And the very first one I got, I had like, I don't know, it was like 30% uh, uh, Scandinavian ancestry. I was all Viking. I was walking around to my wife. I'm Viking, right? And when I got an update, they sent me an update. It shifted all into North Europe, so it was all Germanic and British, and most of the Viking stuff went away. And I'm like, well, so my wife did it, and you know what? Hers came back, right? Viking. So she bought her a little helmet with a little plastic helmet, had little Viking horns on it. She's been walking around going, "I am Viking," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
Oh, that's cool. It's just an extensive genealogy for their family.
You know what? Hang with me here, Hyper. I think that is incredibly valuable because I will tell you this. I remember one time when I first started teaching. This was probably around 2004. I was teaching a book that talked about the family, and I just happened, and I had gotten into genealogy myself. I did a lot of the research in the 80s before the internet, right? Um, and so I can trace my man's back to about the 1500s. Okay, so I can tell you where we were, probably what we were doing, and uh, to about 15. I got a couple other branches. I got one branch that ends up in France. Oh Lord, at about 1400. But and then of course I got several branches that I'm at a dead end at. But I asked in my class this time. I said, how many of you can name your great grandparents? And would you believe there was only like one hand that shot up? And then this is a class of about 30. And I said, oh, I found that very interesting. I said, well, how many of you can name your grandparents? And would you believe only about half of them raised their hands? And I was like, wow, that really surprises me because you're only talking about your parents here. And half of my class couldn't name their grandparents. And I think that really shocked me. Just
Well, my mother's parents were dead before I was born, and my father's father was dead.
but
So
you
I
can
had
name them, right?
well, last names, yeah.
Okay, so you don't know their first names.
Well, I do, but I have to think about it, and it hurts my
Yeah.
brain.
Let's see. I can name couples, and my man's back probably 4 or 5 generations. I can husband and wife, right? Husband and wife, husband and wife. After that, I can name mostly just the male descendant, or not male descendant, male ancestor. But yeah, for several generations, I can do that.
Well, I know my great grandparents by Grandma and Grandpa Hall.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
went from Hall to Browns, and then the Brown family on my mother's side exploded. Like we would need like 2 hotels to actually have a family reunion.
Wow. At one
It's
at one point in time, and of course, the Browns is probably further higher. But I remember in the late '80s, there used to be an index of the most common surnames in the United States, and at the time, Mann was number 300. So we were the 300th most common surname in the United States. That surprised me because I didn't know, any Manns outside of my own family, and it didn't feel like we were that many. But in having done a lot of this research now or afterwards, I do see there's a lot of Manns in the U.S. The 300 both. I mean, obviously at the top of the list was like Smith and Jones and stuff like that. But yeah, Mann was number 3. I don't know where they are now, but this would have been 1980s.
Oh, I know lots of mans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know lots of women's too.
Ba-dum, psh.
Yeah, okay. We got that dad joke out of the way. Let's jump over to your Kickstarter page. Boink.
Woot woot.
Silverline, little animated picture of you.
Yeah. That's my caricature. It goes everywhere with me.
Okay, so here's Cat and Mouse 3.
Yep.
That's the Kickstarter edition.
Yep. By Dean Zachary, penciled. Who we were talking about the ferret earlier. Dean Zachary was the penciler of the ferret.
Oh, cool.
He also did some Nightman for me after that, and inked by Barb Kalberg, who inked for the Ultraverse. She inked the Solution, and she did a whole bunch of other stuff as well. And it was colored by Kevin Gallagly, who was a Malibu colorist on staff at the time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And let's not get into all the who bought Malibu to shut them down for what reason.
Yeah.
We spent an entire show about 2 years ago going through that.
Oh, really? I hope that I hope that you cleared up the false rumor that it was because of the coloring department.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the coloring department.
No, it did not. Yeah, and that's the Trump's cover that I just held up here just a few minutes ago. That's the closest I could kind of get it to look on a JPEG. But yep, that's going to be the Kickstarter exclusive cover. So if you want that gold metallic, you've got to get the Kickstarter exclusive. Yeah, I love that image. That's Anthony Pereira, pencils inked by Thomas Florimonti, longtime friend of mine and industry veteran, and colored by Sid Vinblue, who is a Kubert School graduate.
Oh,
yeah. And this is her first work, so kind of
funny,
exciting.
Funny Kubert School news. Apparently, Dan DiDio just surfaced and is starting a job at the Kubert School.
No, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow.
I'm like, well, at least he can't do any 5G nonsense or kill Robin while he's there.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So tell us about Trumps.
Okay. Trumps is a science fiction / superhero story in a world called the Deck. And on the Deck there are 4 kingdoms.
The Deck.
The Deck.
Oh.
The Deck, right? Conveniently, these kingdoms are clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. And seasonally, they fight for supremacy on the Deck, and the winner gets to declare themselves trumps. When we join our story, clubs are at war with diamonds as they are trying to assert their supremacy over the diamonds in order to become trumps of the Deck.
So it is essentially a King of the Mountain story.
It's very much a King of the Mountain story. There's some sort of political intrigue, behind the scenes stuff going on. Do you play much cards? Do you play cards at all?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you ever play Pinochle?
Many moons ago.
Okay, So in Pinochle, there is a obviously you have the marriages that are worth a lot of points, but you also have the Pinochle, which is the Jack of Diamonds and the Queen of Spades. Well, obviously, if you've played many cards, you can see where this is going. The political intrigue of the story is that we have the Jack of Diamonds getting real comfy, cushy with the Queen of Spades, which doesn't, sit well with the King of Spades. You also have the King of Hearts, who is very much a pacifist and doesn't want to go to war, and yet his young Jack is very much wants to return to the hearts to the powerful kingdom that they used to be. So the Jack is leading a young army out to face the clubs, who are again trying to assert their supremacy over the diamonds, which is the most powerful kingdom on the deck at this point in time. So there's a lot of behind, and the aces are the only ones that hold any superpowers. So kings, queens, jacks, none of those have superpowers. They're all science fiction. They got blasters and things like that. But the aces are the only ones that hold any kind of superpowers. But the aces are kind of hiding out in the Joker's keep. There's a main Joker and an off Joker. If you know card decks, I don't know if I happen to have them here. If you have card decks, you know that there's always a main Joker and an off Joker. Usually in card decks, the main Joker will be in color and the off Joker will be in black and white. The main Joker is where the aces hang out in an effort to try to stay away and above from the war. But the off Joker he is envious of the main Joker and wants the power that the main Joker has. And so there's all kinds of political intrigue in that way. But it's all playing cards terminology and based and things like that.
Very interesting.
Yep, these some of the alternative covers there. The A covers there is the cat and mouse one is done by Alex Gallimore. He penciled, inked, and colored that, and has Widowmaker on there with cat and mouse duking it out in her web. And the Trumps cover is done by Thomas Hedgeland, penciled by Thomas Hedgeland, inked by Thomas Floramonti, and colored by Sid Vinblue. And Thomas is the penciler for the second half of Trumps. So that's very excited about that one as well. The B covers then are the cat and mouse cover that there is penciled by Peter Clinton and inked by Thomas Floramonti. That is the team that I was talking about earlier. That's the art team that's going to be doing Miss Fury. Miss Fury and Champion will be done by that art team. That one's colored by Roberta Conroy, who has just signed the dotted line, you could say, to be the new cat and mouse colorist. The Trumps cover there, the B Trumps cover, is penciled by Alex Sarabia and inked by Barb Kalberg, who is the art team on Divinity, which is a Silverline book that we kickstarted 2 Kickstarters ago. Colored by Sid Vinblue, who is the Trumps colorist. And the C covers then, the C covers, the cat and mouse cover is penciled by Dean Zachary, inked by Barb Kalberg, and then colored by Roberta Conroy. And the Trumps cover is, you can see there, it's only inked. I do have a colored version of it, but I haven't been able to update the files yet.
Oh, okay.
I hope to send out an update tonight.
I was like, a black and white sketch variant.
No. It's not. That one is penciled by Stephen Butler, who we mentioned a little bit earlier. Stephen was my roommate for several years right after college, and that one's inked by Thomas Floramonti, and it will be colored by, or it actually is colored, but I haven't updated it yet. But it will be colored by Sid Vinblue, who is the Trumps colorist. So those are the options. Now, you talk about black and white stuff. We started this several Kickstarters ago, and we do offer a retro version we have a lot of fun with these, and I think I don't know that everybody, but I think a good many of our backers have fun with this too. You can see I've got the old '90s Silverline. That basically what you're looking at. That's the way I used to lay the covers out in the '90s
Hmm.
Silverline. What with our names at the top, the little box there on the left, and the Silverline logo on the bottom. The interiors for the retro versions are all in black and white. So you get the color cover, but it's all in black and white in the interior. I love them, and again,
Is there a price difference in the retros from the regulars?
so they're actually part of the packages. Like I can't remember. I'd have to scroll down and look, but you can see where it says support there. If you'll scroll down, you'll see a reward tier that says the retro tier. Um,
Yeah, let's take a look at these before we keep scrolling down the
yeah,
main screen. So you can pledge without a reward for $10.
yeah, yeah,
And
and
my favorite story for this tier comes from talking to Graham Nolan
yeah.
because he changed the wording on pledge without a reward to buy Graham a beer.
I like that.
And I'm like, oh, I go, I want to start a Kickstarter, but only have like the pledge without a
Buy
reward.
me a beer.
Just buy me a beer. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's you got to offer the digitals because there's a lot of people in the digitals today. I'm not real fond of the digital because um, in my experience, I've seen a lot of it turn into pirated stuff, and
Hmm.
I just I don't know how to stop that. I think I saw Patrick Zerker post earlier about the trials of pirated content, comic content, and
Yeah.
it's really kind of disheartening. But we have some international backers, and also at $4, this is a way that someone can say, you know what, I don't have a whole lot of money. I want to support your campaign. Here's $4. Send me the PDF of the book. So we've always offered that, and then and of course the next level is just, hey, just give me the print book, cat and mouse. I get that you're doing the whole other book thing, but I got one and two, and I don't want any bells and whistles. Just send me the next book. Um, so there's that. The next one, then, of course, is the digital catch up. We have people. This is the first time they have joined the Kickstarter, and they're like,
Hmm.
"Hey, I'm all digital, but I don't really want to get issue 3 without getting 1 and 2."
Yeah.
So,
I'm interested, but
yeah,
if I can't read the whole story, I will read nothing at all.
right. And so this is that's at a level for them that they can go, okay, well here is the digital 1, 2, and 3 to get you all caught up. And my hope is always that when someone does that, they're like, I don't know much about it, just give me the digital. That they'll go, hey, I really like this. I'm gonna come back on the next campaign and buy and get the physical rewards, right?
Hmm.
And then there's the Trump. If you want the Trump with the foil cover stuff, uh, you can get that if that's all you want. Um, and then there is the next level is digital cat and mouse plus Trumps. So if you missed everything, you'll say, well, I don't want just cat and mouse 3 and Trumps. You get cat and mouse 1 through 3, and you get Trumps. And then of course you get into the ABC covers here. You can get cover A, $20 pledge. You can get cover B, $20 pledge. You can get cover C, $20 pledge, or you can get the Kickstarter version. Yeah, I offer retailer bundles as well. I forgot about that. Um, or you can get the next one. Then is I think the Kickstarter version, and that's where you get Cat and Mouse 3 with the Kickstarter version and Trump's Book 1 the Kickstarter version, and that's kind of the generally that's kind of the sweet spot there. For an additional $5, we'll toss in a signing card. I don't have one handy. It's really just kind of a trading card thing that I print off, and I'll autograph the trading cards. they're signature cards.
Hmm.
And so you get a signature for all of those. And then you can see the next level then is the retro level, and that's $38 to get everything at the so you get the yes, Stephen Butler does rule. I agree. Um, you get the Kickstarter versions. You get the signature card. You get the digital extras. I always do digital extras with this level, and what that means is I put together a PDF that has a copy of my script. I will often the way I script my this is my plot, and the way I actually write the dialogue is I actually come in and handwrite it. And so I handwrite everything, before typing it in. And I usually scan these pages and include those in the PDF so that people can see those. Any thumbnails I get from uh, my grocery, yeah.
My new Kickstarter, Buy My
Yeah, buy
Groceries,
my
launches
groceries. Yeah.
soon.
Yeah. So the digital extras, I just try to make it kind of a catch-all thing.
Hmm.
Like I said, I try to include the scripts, all that kind of stuff in it. I try to include any sketches that I got from the artist. I will generally include the pencils to the PDFs, pencils to the book as well, so you can get an idea of what the pencils look like. Um, and really just anything. I actually had a guy send me uh, role playing sheets that he did of cat and mouse. I'm sorry, he did actually tooth and nail. He did role playing stat sheets of tooth and nail and gave them to me. And I said, "Well, can I use these?" And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely." So I included those in the digital extras. So those are always a lot of fun. Yeah, and there's the next one is the retro levels, and that's where you get the Kickstarter books, and then you also get the digital extras, the signature card, but then you also get the retro versions of the comics. And I think I was talking about this the other day. I may go back and add some blurbs on there. On the cat and mouse one, maybe something like um, defeated by mouse. This the kind of thing that they used to do, and very much so in the 70s, 80s. Maybe on the Trumps when they're when kings clash.
Yeah, that sounds pretty 80s to me.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that might be fun for the retro versions. Yeah, and then we get into a lot of the original art, and I think I said this on the page that you and I kind of met on. We've got so much art for this Kickstarter. It's crazy. If you are a fan of original art, there's no way you can come to this page and not find something. So there's Mike Belcher. Mike Belcher's the guy who created the little banner for us. He's done logo work in the past. If you actually scroll down on the left side, you'll see his art. Mike Belcher did a cat. Oh, you got to get past all the interior art. So that's
Yeah,
interior art.
this just looks great.
Yeah, yeah. That's Thomas Hedgeland and Thomas Formonti and Sid Van Blue. And yes, I agree with you. They are just. I love that panel right there of the Joker, just sitting there all defeated, like, and oh, what am I gonna do? And
Little brainiac heads.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited about this. Like I said, I think the artwork is fantastic, and yeah, there's the other Joker. Um,
Yeah, I actually use
I
the
I saw
panel
that.
like right there of the eyes for the.
Yep. That's the first page right there. That's introducing the world in this scenario, and that's we start off at the you can see the clubs from the back, and then you the last panel there is the diamonds. So this establishes that the clubs are attacking the diamonds, and the Diamond King and Queen. He's weary of the war, and she is sick, and so his attention is kind of divided. And yeah, I'm not sure why those pages cropped, but I got to go back and take a look at that. That's the Ace of Clubs, and the main Joker kind of in that top panel, kind of having it out a little bit, and then the next panel there that we can only see part of, that's a splash page of the Ace of Clubs, basically kind of demonstrating his power. I'm the Ace of Clubs. Back off.
He's like the evil Green Lantern of the group.
Yeah. And like I said, they're the only one. The Aces are the only ones with the powers. And then now we have interior art from Cat and Mouse. And like I said, this is issue number 3. And you're looking at it's penciled by Alex Gallimore, inked by Barb Kalberg, and colored by Kevin Galligley. Not sure what page that is, but that's Mouse and Cat going at it right there.
Possibly page 5.
Oh yeah, sure is right there at the top, isn't it? Yeah.
Look, I know how to read comic pages.
I guess I didn't crop that stuff out. Yeah.
Page 9.
Yep. Well, and hey, this is just another way to show you, hey, we've got the stuff finished. Yeah, this is when he goes to the Kanoich, who is a character in the story, looking for help, and she smacks him around a little bit. And of course,
hey, some guy's got to pay money for that.
Somebody's got to pay money for that. That's right. Yeah. Yep. This is a page that just shows Brett, who is Cat, going around trying to pick up supplies, trying to figure out what to do. The story behind Cat and Mouse is that he's there to get her out of human trafficking. She's been caught up in a human trafficking ring, and he is in New Orleans trying to get her out. That's the leader of the human trafficking ring right there. That is Widowmaker. And so he's got to figure out how to get Mouse out of the clutches of Widowmaker and get her returned back home, because Mouse is 17 years old. So, yeah, that's his battle. Yeah, and those are just images of the rewards.
From all the things that we've previously spoken of.
Yep.
I like that. I like that Cat and Mouse with the Widowmaker on it.
Yeah, I do too. That's Alex.
I don't know why. I'm just drawn to it.
Well, it's he and I talked about it. It's kind of one of these classic covers. You don't see a lot of these anymore, right? I mean, obviously, that's not a quote unquote. That's not a real scene from the book. She's not that. She's not a giant. They're not actually kept, caught in a web. But it's very symbolic, and yeah, it was Alex's idea, and I thought it was. I thought he executed it very nicely.
Yeah, it just looks cool.
Yep.
It pops that you get the web the same color as the interior of the letters, and very 70s.
Yep. And there's the B covers that we talked about earlier, and the C covers. Yeah, and then that's the I can't read what that is, so I'm not sure what that one is.
The Kickstarters.
Kickstarter, yeah, of course, the Kickstarter versions. Duh. And then the signed versions, so you got a signature card there. And then the retros, and then I think the next one will be the Mike Belcher art. Yep. Already some artwork gone. There's several pieces gone.
Alan McMillan and Bill Nichols' original.
Yep.
Gone.
That one's gone. And that's the Mike Belcher original. Now, Mike Belcher is, you can see he's the creator of Man in the Mask. He does a regular strip, Man in the Mask. He's got, I used to have this trade right here, but I don't have it. Very, very good book that I highly recommend, and he's been putting it all on Webtoons, and you can go look up Man in the Mask in Webtoons. And Mike is a friend and a good guy, and he did this Cat and Mouse for us, and so it is available. The original is available.
And it's always cool to get original artwork.
It is. I agree completely.
I love original artwork, but I am usually never in a space to afford original artwork.
And then there's Thomas Hedgeland. Thomas Hedgeland is the penciler for Trumps, and he is offering up. At first, he offered up 2. You can see we went in there, changed it, and those things went really quickly. And he said, "Well, you know what? I'll do 2 more." And so I think there are still two available from commissions from Thomas Hedgeland. Torso.
Yes. I'm looking at it right on the side here.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you're right there. You're even there now. So yeah, basically it's a torso shot. Any character that you want, you get that. Plus you get the Trumps and the Cat and Mouse Kickstarter versions. You get digitals. You get the signature card, and you get the digital extras. So
And next down, we have the Alex Gilmore
yep,
original
yep,
Green Lantern. A little
yep,
John Stewart action going on.
yep, yep.
Since he is going to be in the Superman, they made Diggle Green Lantern.
Yeah, yeah. Alex, when he came out to. I'm in Orlando, Florida. Alex came out last year to do the Daytona Beach Comic Con, and I know he did some sketches at the time. And when he left, he just said, "Here, use these for the next Kickstarter." And so that was the sketch he did of Green Lantern, and then there's another one, I think just below that of Batman. Yeah, Batman. There you go. So, and those are original
Yep.
original pieces of art, original pencils.
Yep. That's why they're separated by the character.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you have your choice of Green Lantern or Batman,
Yep.
original art, signed, $70.
Yep.
Plus you get all the books.
Yep. Plus the books. Yep. So, and then there's the completist, and I added this because I started doing this about 2 Kickstarters ago, I think, because we had the variant covers, and someone emailed me and said, "I want all of them," and I'm like, "Wait, what? You want all of them? Yeah, I want all of them." I'm like, it's the same interiors, right? No, I know, I get it. I want every cover, and so I created the completist tier, and with this tier, you can get the Kickstarter covers for both books. You get the A covers for both books. You get the B covers for both books, and you get the C covers for both books, and you get the retro versions for both books. That's 10 comics. So yeah, that's a lot of comics for that.
It is 2 comics but 10 covers.
Yes. And then yep.
Is the completest.
Yeah. And then Alex Gallimore has commissions. He's doing pencil and ink commissions, 1 character. So you can see those are samples of his work. You get
commission from our Lord of Lord of
Lead. Yeah.
I thought so, and then I said lead.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, we started in the first issue. I told you we're inspired heavily by the Silver Age, right? And so in the first issue, we've got you can't really see the credits here, but you've got Roland, who is the Sage of Story. You've got Dean, who is the Grandmaster of Graphite. You have Barbara Kelberg, who is the Empress.
Oh, if you want to put it up, I can blow you up on the screen.
Well, okay. I think you can probably see it there. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and this is the credits from the first page. So, and then let's keep it there for a second. I'll show you the second issue. So Alex came along, and he couldn't be the Grandmaster of Graphite, right? Because that was Dean. So we had to come along and give Alex his title. So Alex became the Lord of Lead. So that's and this is the double page spread from issue 2. Oh, and by the way, you're not there yet, but I'll show you this since I'm here. This original inked page is available. This is the splash page cliffhanger from issue 2. And yes, that is an old-fashioned letter column page you see there. You don't see those in comics much anymore.
Yeah, please don't call it old, because then I'm gonna get.
Well, I've taken to calling things retro, right? Because that's a cool turn. So the best deals on art. You're right. I appreciate that, but I also absolutely agree with you. I think there's some fabulous art available, and I know he said he wished he could buy multiple levels, and I absolutely appreciate that. But what I do say is that if you are one of these who loves artwork, and you're like, man, I can't decide. There's this page and this page. I really want both of them.
Hmm.
Drop me an email. Let me know that you want both of them, and we'll put together a specialized package just for you, where you don't have to double down. You can get both pieces of art and just the one set of books. That way, you don't have to double down on all the books, because no one really wants to do that. You don't really want to pledge to two tiers. But if there are two, particularly the original art, if there are 2 pages that you want, and just the one set of books, just email me. Drop me a line, and we'll work out a special deal just for you. I did that on the last one. The guy, we actually had, and I think we've got it still available here. One situation of it, we had the pencils and we had the inks of the exact same page, and
Well, I know
the
there's 4 slots open for the Lord of Lead commissions,
yeah, yeah. I
and
just added those. What is today? Monday? I think I added those on Saturday, so I haven't had the chance to promote them well, and I'm not sure Alex has either. But
then there is this page from Cat and Mouse 3.
yep,
This is original art. It's already been scanned in and colored and lettered and
yep.
everything else. It's already in the book. This is just the original art.
Yes. And I think I have it over here that I can. Here's the original art that I have for this. All the original art that I have for this campaign.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah. So I think what page were you looking at there? Uh,
that is Cat and Mouse number 3, page 4.
Oh, yeah, okay. So this is an interesting scenario here. So there's the main image of the page, right? But Alex actually did the inset panels on a separate page.
Yeah.
So you have this panel and then these 2 panels here that were done on different pages. So if you were to get page 4,
Yes.
yeah, page 4, you actually get two pages here for this one. Yeah. But yeah, see, here's an inked Trump page. Here's that splash page I was telling you about. That's just gorgeous.
Oh
I
yeah.
think. From Trump's. This is the one that was sold. This is the Alan McMillan and Bill Nichols. This one's sold. The Mike Belcher page, of course. And here is here's the Green Lantern sketch. Here's the Batman drawing. This is a sweet piece by Jamie Jones, who is the creator of the Baboon. And this is a mashup of the Baboon and Cat and Mouse. This is a sweet piece. I'd kind of like to keep it myself, but
Yeah, that would look good up on your wall.
it would. But Jamie didn't give it to me. He gave it to the campaign, so
Mm.
I have to honor what he did. And of course, then there's some of the original pencils as well. So and this is just part of them. I'm not sure where the others are. This is that page where Brett's going around. So you already saw this completed page on the Kickstarter page. It was colored, but this is the pencils of Brett going around collecting up some stuff. I'm trying to see if we had one of the others. Oh yeah, here's the one where she's got the sword in his face. These are the original pencils by Alex Gallimore. Fantastic stuff here. So yeah, like I said, we just, I mean, there's so much art. Like I said, you can't tell me that you're a fan of original art, but you can't find anything. Yeah, Lost in Comics says love that Green Lantern. Yeah, I mean, Alex, Alex is a Kubert School grad. Cat and Mouse is his first work, which I'm very honored that he chose us to break into the industry with. But Alex is going places. You're gonna see he's gonna be around for a long time. Love Alex's work. He's very moody. Not him as a person, but his artwork is very moody, and it really fits the story of Cat and Mouse. Actually, I saw Alex's work on he had some Batman samples, and of course, Batman. Who's moody if it's not Batman? And so looking at
Me.
it,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not Batman. I'm just
No.
moody.
So yeah, I saw those and I said, oh wow, these are nice Batman pages. This guy would look good on a book like Cat and Mouse. So
Oh yeah.
uh,
And here's let's see. This is page 5 that's available.
okay, you're still showing me.
Oh, I'm still showing you?
Yeah.
Oh. Let's get rid of you.
There we go.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Let's get rid of me. Yeah.
So this is page 5 that's available. Of course, there's only one of them because it's original art.
Yep. Yep.
Got that for 90. And page 9, which is the one you literally just showed.
Just showed. Yep. Just held up.
That's why it says only one.
That's only one. That's it. There's only one available.
Only one. But wait, there's more.
That's right.
It's different, but there's more.
Yep. Yeah.
See, now I know what potato means.
Oh, about the art?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here is page 11.
Yep.
Page 15 is gone.
It's gone. It's out of here. Yep.
We have page 16.
Yep.
Page 17 is gone.
Yep.
Page 18. And
Now that's page 11 inked from
page 11 inked from Trump's.
Yeah.
Page 17 is gone.
Yep.
You always like hearing that. That one's gone. That
Yep.
one's gone.
Yep, that's a beautiful sound.
Page 4
And that's the one we were just showing
by
the
Barb.
pencils.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you would just show them the pencils,
Yep.
but this is the inked version of that.
Yep. Yep. So if you were really kind of a completist and you said, "Hey, I want you right now," both the pencils and the inks are available for this page.
Yeah, so you can.
If you wanted both pages, drop. I'm not. We're not going to ask you to do $90 for both just to get both tiers, because that includes all the comics and all the other stuff. If you wanted both pieces of art, just drop me a line and we'll make you a deal.
And page 5, inked from Cat and Mouse. And inked page 6 from Barb.
From Cat and Mouse and
inked page 7.
Yep. And now some pencils from Trump's.
That's a lot of cross hatching.
Yeah. Yeah, we told him. Thomas Hedgeland is he's also, I don't know whether he's a graduate or if he's still in school. I can't verify that with you one way or the other because I'm not real sure. But one of the things we told him is like, dude, don't save yourself some time. You don't have to fill in all that stuff. Just put a big X there. That save you some time. Let the inker do all that work. And
put a post-it note on the page and send it off.
That's right. Save yourself some time. But again, he's a young guy, young artist. This will be his first published work. There's just certain things that you just kind of got to learn as you go along. And filling in all those areas of black is one of them. You just got to realize, yeah, that's just a waste of time.
And here's another page from him, page 6 from Trump's.
Yep, that's a beautiful page. And that's remember I mentioned the young Jack of Hearts that would go out to confront the club army. That's what he's doing there.
And hey, look, not as much cross hatching.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Alex. I don't mean to pick on you. I'm just, I can't draw a stick figure straight. So, you know, what do I know?
Yeah.
Page 7.
Yep.
I like this one. I just like the dead stare on the very last.
Yeah.
At the very bottom.
I've used that panel as my Facebook page banner before because I too I love that. I just like, wow, I love this, those eyes.
And page 8, part 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much art.
Yeah.
Man, anybody out there that loves to get and collect original art? Yeah, Pops, I'm talking to you. I know there's a spot on the wall. You just got to want to point to this during a CromCon.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a cool page.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh, it's the Pimp Slap page. There's page 13.
Yeah. You know, I think that one of the hardest things about this is deciding which page to get. You know.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, usually by now I could have scrolled through 7 Kickstarters.
Yep, you're right.
Because usually there's they might put up the original pencils from one of the covers or the first page or something.
Yeah.
And offer a couple of sketches and they're done.
Right. Yep.
Not you.
Well,
apparently you can buy the entire book page by page.
It's not quite all available. Now, the last Kickstarter we did, you could have bought every single page from both of the books if you had been fast enough.
Oh, there's the page with the throne and the off joker.
Yeah.
That throne just looks painful.
No, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you sit on it just right, and you're in for a bad day.
Yeah. But and again, I think that for us, that's part of us. Our thinking is that we're having fun with this. This is fun, and obviously the artist put a lot of time and effort into the pages, and so they're like, they would carry these around to conventions to sell them, right? I mean, they would sell their original art at conventions, and so they're like, you know what? This is a Kickstarter. We're here. The people who are supporting us, let's give them the first shot at it. If this artwork doesn't go, then someone else will pick it up some other time. I love that page too.
Yeah, it's just evil incarnate, right?
Yes,
there.
it is. Yeah.
Original art.
Yeah.
Mouse gone.
Yeah. It was a nice piece.
There's the original ink page that you showed. That's 120.
Yep. Thomas, penciled by Anthony Pereira and inked by Thomas Flormonti. So.
Oh, another one gone.
Yep.
2 in a row gone. 3 in a row gone.
Yep. And that's the page that I showed you from the second issue. That was the the last page. That was from issue number 2. How quickly I can get that. This page right here. So it's already been printed in the comic. The last page of issue number 2. Yep, you can own the original inked page of that.
Right there.
So,
Oh, thanks, Chris.
You are Batman. I'm Batman.
Jazz
Jazz
hands
hands.
rolling.
Yeah, thank you, Lost in Comics. I wish I could take credit for the artwork. Unfortunately, I can't. I agree with you. I think it's beautiful work. I can't take credit for the artwork. I will take credit for the story, and hopefully, I'll tell you that I've given them a story that inspires them to do great work. So, yeah, and now there's the. This is from part one of Trump's, and I think it's the first 8 pages are available there in
Wow.
pencils.
Yep, because there's
So,
page one, because
yep.
you laid out the house of cards.
Yep.
Page 4,
Okay.
page 5. Oh, when the king is with his
Uh huh.
ill wife.
Yep.
Page 6. Page 7.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yep. That's the Queen of Spades and Jack of Diamonds.
It's page 7. We will just call this naughty time.
There's no nudity. There's no nudity.
No. It's kind of like Steranko. We're not actually going to show you anything, but you're going to think you saw something.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna have a good idea what was going on.
Oh yeah. Then there's page 8,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's that Jamie Jones original mashup for
Yep.
150. Baboon and cat and mouse mashup,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks better seeing it like in your hand. The color pops more than
Yeah.
it does on the JPEG here.
Yeah.
And 150 original art. Pencil page 2 and 3 by Anthony Perra. Double page spread.
Double page spread. Uh huh. So.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And then there's the double page spread from Cat and Mouse number 3.
Inked, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Cover to Trumps by Anthony Pereira.
Yeah, and that's the pencils for the Kickstarter cover.
For the
Right?
Kickstarter cover.
The gold metallic.
Yeah, for $200 you can have the original cover work for the Kickstarter exclusive.
And that's that. If you look around, look at cover work, that's a steal for that artwork.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very very frameable, very hangable on your wall. Yep, and then there's the other Trump's cover by Thomas Hedgelin, which is also very frameable and hangable on your wall. And then the other cover to Trump's, and that was the one by Stephen Butler, his original pencils. So yeah, and then you just get into all the creators involved. You can see who all of us are. Thomas Formani, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, there's lots of original art here. If you're a fan of original art and you come to my page and tell me that you couldn't find anything, I'm gonna tell you, well, you didn't really look then, did you?
If you tell Roland that, Roland's going to buy me a plane ticket to have to slap you.
What was it? What you said? Pimp slap? Have you pimp slap them?
Pimp slap. Just like in the original Shaft, or what would you? Oh, you would see that a lot in the original Starsky and Hutch series.
Yeah. Yep.
So, tell us how you came up with the idea for this cat and mouse story.
Yeah, so one of the things that I heard, Cat and Mouse was done in the '90s. Me and Mitch Bird, and with a handful of some very talented inkers over the course of the series. It ended at 18, and of course, then I said, like I said, I went on to do a whole bunch of other things. It was a thing that probably starting in the middle '90s. Every time I go to a show, people would ask me, when are you going to bring back Cat and Mouse? When are you going to bring back Cat and Mouse? And I'm like, I got this Planet of the Apes story here. When are you going to bring back Cat and Mouse? I got Miss Fury here. When are you going to bring back Cat and Mouse? Hey, look, I did the Arrow. When are you going to bring back Cat and Mouse? And I just kept hearing it over and over and over again. And and so finally, I said, "Look, you know what? I'm gonna bring back Cat and Mouse." But it's been 20 years, so I don't want it to be the same character. I'm thinking, okay, 20 years have passed. Do I bring back a Cat and Mouse that the characters that are 20 years older? Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think anybody wants to read that. I don't think I want to write that. The first series ended with Cat and Mouse in Japan at the conclusion of the story, and so as far as I'm concerned, that's where those original characters still are. So I decided, well, let me do something else. Let me create a totally new Cat and Mouse. Doesn't have anything to do with the first two. But I wanted to keep the spirit and the tone and the mood and the feelings roughly in the same regard. Well, the first Cat and Mouse took on a lot of organized crime. That was really organized crime shows were really popular in the 1980s. And so I didn't really want to do that again. I'm like, I don't really want to. I've already done that, and that's just to. So I said, I got to think of something else. What else can they do? And I'll tell you something that's kind of. And I don't want. I don't. I'm not turning the book into. It's not a cause book or anything like that. But something that really calls out to me is the human trafficking problem that we have in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of these things like we keep talking, we have this problem, we have this problem, we have this problem. And I'm not saying those other things aren't problems, but when I look at them as a father of two, I'm going, yeah, but human trafficking, they're yeah, but we have a problem with this. And I'm like, yeah, but human trafficking. And no one seems to care about it. And I know people do, so I'm not saying that no one does, but in general and at large, I look and it's like no one really seems to care that there's a human trafficking problem going on right under our noses. I live in Orlando, one of the biggest cities for human trafficking. And I never hear about it here. No one ever talks about it. Fortunately, in the last couple of months, human trafficking has been in the news because they've caught, they've made some, I don't know what you call them, they've made some bust and have been able to free going on close to 100 kids now. So I think those are victories. Well, this is just one of the things that kind of called out to me. It's like, okay, well, I dealt with organized crime the first time. How can I do human trafficking? How can I handle that? And so that's kind of what gave birth to the storyline for Cat and Mouse, and that I wanted him to be a little younger than my original two. The original two, he was probably in his 30s, and she was probably in her 20s. Well, these characters are 18 and 17, and so the story is after high school graduation, Brett's longtime girlfriend and fiance dumps him because he's studying to be a police officer and she doesn't want to marry a cop. Well, a few months later, she calls him and says, "Hey, my kid's sister ran away. Would you go get her?" And he's like, "Well, I don't really want to go get her because you're my ex, but okay, I'm studying to be a police officer. Let me go see if I can bring her home." So he goes to New Orleans, and that's when he finds out that she's been caught up in a human trafficking ring. So he takes it upon himself to figure out how to get her out of the human trafficking ring so he can get her home. And what I don't go into too in depth here is part of the reason that he wants to do that is because he still wants to impress his once fiance, and so that's how he ends up in New Orleans, finding the kid's sister, getting involved in all the human trafficking, and that's kind of where our story takes off.
Well, it's a very topical one. So I just threw the trending hashtag Save Our Children in because it reflects on the story.
It absolutely does. Yeah.
And I know a bunch of myself and a bunch of friends that I grew up with, because we're all parents and a few of us are grandparents. So I make fun of them like, haha, you're older than me. No, I'm not. I go, well, you got to be. You got grandkids.
That's
Get away
right.
from me. But we we're on, we stay on attuned to this problem.
Yeah.
And we know, I think it was either Georgia or Tennessee the other day, a couple of days ago. They busted close to 300 people that were involved in this ring, and they saved, I think, like another 38 kids or something.
Yeah, yeah, and see that's been happening the last couple of months. There's been a couple of victories. I call those victories, right? There's been a couple of victories like that, and where they've been able to rescue. Like I say, I don't know what the total number is, but I feel pretty sure because there's been a couple of those happen, and I feel pretty sure the number is approaching about 100 kids. So, and I read this the other day. Do you know where most of these kids are coming from? The
Foster care.
foster care. Yeah, and if you read Cat and Mouse number 2, you know that Mouse, who is the runner, who is the one who gets caught up in the human trafficking, is running from foster care. So again, I'm trying to, it's a story. It's all made up. These characters aren't real. But I'm trying.
But it's very timely.
I'm trying to tie it in and make it all as relevant as possible.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. It's it's just that whole thing. It to me is just crazy. Even though I'm in a wheelchair now, but don't don't mistake it. Don't mistake my my crippled old body for weakness, because I can still pull my Glock out and
Yeah. Yep.
because not for nothing, if a dog bites a kid, they put that dog down.
Yep.
So all these people that are doing the human trafficking and stuff to the kid and other unmentionables
Worse.
to the kids,
Mm-hmm.
they should all just be shot on sight.
They should be put down. Yep.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
I agree with you completely there.
And in the electric chair, none of this, painless injection crap.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Thanks, Chris.
I think if you hurt kids, I don't have any sympathy for you. Yeah.
Not at all.
I think if you're an evil person and you're gonna go do evil, you leave kids out of it. Because when you get involved, you get kids involved, and you start hurting kids. I literally have zero sympathy for you. None. Yeah. So
that this story arc is timely, the same way AWA's book that dealt with the pandemic killing millions of people that they launched in March.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, the Lost in Comics guys are right with us, because and they're down in Texas. Capital punishment, guns. I want to move to Texas just so somebody can gift me a couple of guns.
Yeah.
I saw that on the Rogan show the other day. He had a guy that's retired military that he's friends with, came on the show and gifted a special Glock to him and one to his producer.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw that. Now, is Lost in Comics, is that a comic shop?
No, that's another podcast.
Oh, well, Lost in Comics, holler at me. I'll come chat with you.
There you go, Chris. Book another guest in.
Yep, holler at me. But yeah, well, I could probably talk gun. I'm from Mississippi, so it's I grew up with guns.
Mm-hmm.
I was carrying a gun as a kid. When I went to when I would visit my grandparents in Arkansas, it wasn't unusual that I had a shotgun in my hands and left out the door on my own with a dog. and walked my grandfather's property. He was a farmer. I come from a family of farmers, and I walked my grandfather's farm with a dog, and we would walk up and down the fence rows and in the creeks, and I would shoot things. Mostly snakes, but I would try to shoot rabbits because we would eat rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
But I mostly shot snakes. Um, I am on Twitter. I am on Twitter at Man Roland. Believe it or not, somebody already had Roland Man. But yeah, I am Man Roland on Twitter, and you can probably on Twitter you can probably find my caricature that he showed at the on the Kickstarter page. Um, I tend to use that on I tend to use that on most of my social media, mostly just for easy recognition. If you search for again, I don't know that there's a whole lot of there's someone's got Roland Man, and I don't know who they are. But if you're looking for me and you see my caricature, like yeah, okay, that's him.
So it's man with two N's and then Roland.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah. My daughter was like, you should put the real Roland Man, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I just do Man Roland. Hmm. But
There
yeah,
you go.
oh, you found me? Yeah, I'm on all the social medias. I am not super active on Twitter. I try to be. In fact, actually, I haven't been super active on a whole lot of social media over the last couple of months. They added an extra. I teach, and so they added an extra class to me, and that then coupled with the comic book stuff has been keeping me pretty busy. I do get on Facebook and jump around, a couple times a day. And I've been trying to do the same with Twitter. Oh, thank you, Lost in Comics. I appreciate that. Um,
So keep an eye on your Twitter messages over the next couple of days.
I will.
They'll probably get in touch with you, have you on their show.
That sounds great. Absolutely. If nothing else, I know Will. This is the first time you and I have talked. If nothing else, I think when you talk to me for the first time, if nothing else, when I'm done, you'll say, you know what, that guy likes comics. And that pretty much sums it up for me. Is that I do I like comics. I like the medium. I like what it is. I like what it does. I like reading them. Obviously, you can see I do have a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of them, surrounding me. I still buy them. I don't really buy mainstream comics today. I don't buy Marvel and DC's, and haven't bought them in some years just because I'm not really a fan of the stories that they tell today. But I buy a lot of I support a lot of crowdfunders, and I buy a lot of stuff out of the cheap boxes from the '80s that we were talking about earlier. A lot of independent comics. Yeah, that's us also. So yeah, I think there are a lot of us out there like that. I think there's a lot of people who are kind of like, yeah, Marvel, DC, you don't want me as a customer anymore. Um,
They don't
they
really.
they don't seem to care. They'll do something, and then a fan base will react and say, no, we don't like that. And it's almost like they say, yeah, we don't care. Look, we're doing it again for these characters. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why I don't get that. They just seem to be. And Will, you may have been the one that said they seem to have lost their way. And I agree with that. I think they've just lost touch with the base, and it seems like when they do something that a portion of the fans don't like, they just say, "Hey, we don't care. Look, we're going to do it more." And so yeah, I don't you know when somebody says, "So you don't spend any money on Marvel and DC?" Well, here's my answer to that. That's not true because I still buy the Perez Englehart trades when I see them. I'll buy the Neil Adams stuff, from the '70s and the '80s. I don't buy anything new. There's nothing new that's come out from Marvel or DC in the more than the last decade that made me go, yes, I gotta have that. So yeah.
Yeah, and it hurt me too because I've been a DC guy since 1974. So,
Well, I see your at name, so
oh yeah,
um, that's pretty clear to me who you like. So, um, yeah,
I've been collecting Amazing Spider-Man and Hulk, that whole time too.
yep,
And I didn't really know the X-Men really
yeah.
until like the 90s
Oh, yeah,
and like the late 80s when they made that appearance on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
yeah, yeah,
That was the first time I ever heard of the X-Men.
yep.
I never heard of them before that. So,
Yeah, see, I started buying the X-Men during the Claremont Byrne run. I missed the first part of it, but because of my friends, my comic friends were, oh, X-Men, 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 you got to look at this John Byrne guy, and I'm like, okay, okay. I finally I picked it up right after the Dark Phoenix saga. So I think my first issue of X-Men was like either 140 or 141. And yeah, I agree with what Lost in Comics is saying there. It is unfortunate because I love Spider-Man. I love the Avengers. Those were my two favorites as a kid and for a long, long time. Um, but there's and other characters too, but they're so unrecognizable to me today. I look at them and I say, what the heck is going on? That's not the Hercules I know. That the Hercules that no, that's not Hercules at all. And what the heck's going on? So yeah, I see them and I just quite frankly, I just have zero interest, and it's like I would rather if I'm going to spend $5, I would rather or $10 or whatever, I would rather take that money and instead of spending it on Marvel and DC, who I've got about a 97% chance possibility that I'm not going to like, I would rather buy an independent book in which there's a 50-50 chance that I will like it, right? But in taking my money and not spending it with Marvel and D and spending it on an independent, I support another independent creator, possibly someone who can only get better as they go, because I believe that happens. And you know what? If I am disappointed, well then so what? I've still done these things for an independent creator instead of for a big corporate entity. And so yeah, I would much rather spend my money there than for corporate I've taken to calling Marvel and DC corporate comics. Um,
oh yeah, they
yeah,
definitely are.
yeah, and I yeah, well, I appreciate that. I can't argue with that. And I don't mean to turn this into a Marvel and DC bashing thing. Not at all. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there who still I don't know very many of them. There are some people out there. I mean, obviously they're still printing them, so somebody's still buying them. But if you look at their sales figures, Marvel and DC are selling, or at least before DC jumped ship from Diamond, they were selling at an all-time historical low, which translated into simpler English is they have never sold fewer comics in their history of publication than they are recently. And
Which is why they're releasing like five or ten covers for every book to call it special,
yeah,
and
well, and that just
they put a first appearance in like every other
yep.
book so it'll sell, and then
Well,
they do like five covers for that one, and they just pad it, and whenever there's something like that, they of course up the rate to like 10 or $12 for the book.
yeah. Well, and that just goes back to for me to the idea is like they know their sales numbers, they know their sales figures, they
Mm-hmm.
know they're crappy, and why are they doubling down on all this this stuff that they're doing that they're why isn't there somebody at either of these places that says okay, our sales are crappy, and it's got to be because of all this other stuff we're doing. That's not working. Let's stop that. Let's turn the ship around and let's go in the opposite direction. Why is there not anyone at either one of these companies saying that? That's what I don't understand.
Well,
There's got to be somebody there.
because the mouse owns Marvel, and AT&T owns Warner, Time Warner, DC, HBO, and these bigger companies have bought these two entities.
Yeah. Corporate comics.
For the IPs. Mm-hmm. They don't give two craps about comics, making comics, or anything else. I mean, DC, before their first Fandom thing, which was a crock of crap, they fired 25% of the editorial staff, and they cut 25% of the line.
Yep.
They've cut another like 15 or 20% of the line.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
After that. Yeah, so it's gone up to them cutting like almost half the line. See, and I'm for and against that. It's like some books they had that were great, and others were just, well, Batman's our flagship. He should have 32 books every month.
Right, yeah.
And they were following the Disney Marvel flood the stands with everything we can until it doesn't sell at all.
Yeah.
And then we'll cancel it.
Yeah.
I remember I was watching another podcast that I follow because he covers everything. And he covered this one thing because he doesn't go heavy into comics, but he covered this one thing where I guess last year Marvel brought back the who were the teenage heroes they had?
The New Mutants?
No. Oh yeah, that's right. Nope. The first series with Nitro blew up a school.
New Warriors?
That's the one, New Warriors.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'd eventually get it.
Yeah.
So they brought back the New Warriors, but they made the entire series in like an LGBTQ
I saw that. Oh my gosh, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
And
I remember that.
Now you could tell by the covers that these books might be a little woohoo, but
yeah, they didn't. I saw somebody talking about it, and it was not one. I mean, when you talk about. So when I think of the Avengers, you talk about Thor and Iron Man and Hulk and these characters. When you talk about them, it's like, Iron Man, a man of, made of steel. You talk about their powers, right? This one is like, I forget who the character was, but this character, she's a blogger. I'm like, wait, so what? Who cares? Peter Parker is a photographer, but that's not how we promote Spider-Man. We don't say Spider-Man, he's a photographer. No, he's a man has the powers, the proportionate powers of a spider. That was so bad. I brought my son in, who was, I guess, 19 at the time. He's 20 now. I said, come here. Would you watch this for me? I said, would you? I said, this is a new Marvel thing. I want you to watch this and tell me if you get excited, right? I tried not to influence him in any kind of way. And we watched the whole thing, and he looked at me, and he looked back at the screen, and he looked at me. He said, I can't tell whether you're serious or not, Dad. And I'm like, no, are you interested? He goes, Dad, I'm kind of afraid. I'm like, no, I mean, serious. This is a new Marvel thing. I mean, and it's targeted to like you, Brett. You're my son's name is Brett. I mean, you're the prime target. He goes, I ain't buying that. He goes, that looks like the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Well, there was a ton of backlash online, but there's a ton of backlash online for everything because that's all people do is sit at home behind their keyboards and pretend to act brave. But it got a bunch of backlash, and so
did they cancel it?
Yes, they eventually canceled it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other
thing.
But
Donnie Cates came out and lashed back.
Oh, yeah.
And the show that I was watching, they always snapshot all these ridiculous, stupid tweets, especially when like the creators from the big two are basically screaming at their audience and telling them how wrong they are.
Yeah.
that they must accept this. And Donnie Cates, he was cursed. He cursed up a storm in this tweet, and basically, calling people garbage. And I go, yep. And that's why anytime somebody talks about Donnie Cates, my hashtag is I hates the Cates.
Yeah, yeah. I don't get that whole idea of. I mean, I don't understand it. Why would you? Why would you come out and tell fans they're wrong for their opinion? It's like, okay, no, I have an opinion. This sucks. Well, you're wrong. Well, no, my opinion is my opinion, and if it sucks, it sucks. And here's what I have to say. My argument tends to be, okay, you say I'm wrong. Sales figures say I'm right. If you look at the sales numbers for Marvel and DC, then I tend to be more right than you are because your sales suck.
Well, it's because both of the big two are pushing agendas.
Yes, yeah.
The whole
And
social justice BS.
I'm not interested in that.
Nope.
I'm not interested.
I want no part of it. And I was even keeping, because fact of the matter, no matter what they do, they will always sell Batman books.
Of course.
Marvel will always sell Spider-Man books. Yep. That's the bottom line. They're always going to sell. And I'm part of the problem because I'll keep buying them. Because, well, if you hate them, why are you buying them? I go, well, I don't always hate them. He goes, yeah. But sometimes you do. I go, yeah, I just don't want to break my numbering.
Right. Yeah.
But
I will tell you that
I'm getting pretty close to being.
I feel you, and I understand exactly. It's like I liken it to cutting the cable. A lot of people have had a hard time cutting the cable, and when it comes to television, and that kind of thing, it's a lot like that. And I will tell you, and I'm not, I mean, you're a grown adult man, you do what you want to do, but I will tell you this: it's very hard to make that decision to cut it, but once you do, and once you've spent a couple of months in the DTs, you're having your withdrawals, and you realize that you can spend that money somewhere else, you're going to be much happier for it. Like I said, I haven't bought a new. And listen, I was a Marvel. You see all these boxes, right? I mean, I have.
Oh yeah.
I was a Marvel zombie. I bought everything.
And
Marvel
for those that just joined us, behind that green cloth is about another 3,000 long boxes.
So I mean, I was buying everything Marvel did at one point in time, and a lot of stuff that DC. I was more Marvel than DC. A lot of stuff that DC did, and it was very difficult for me to cut that cord because, like you, it's like I've got every Spider-Man from this time right here when I started buying it up to current. I had every Avengers. I am about 15 comics shy of an entire Avengers Volume 1 run. I wasn't buying all of them when they came out. I went back and bought a lot of them as back issues. But I've got most of the first volume of the first Avengers. So I fully understand the issues. But once I made that cut, it was tough. It was tough the first couple of months. But then I realized, hey, I've got this extra money. I'm going to go buy this weird I'm going to go buy The Baboon by Jamie Jones. I've never heard of it. Oh, I spent $20 on Jamie Jones's Baboon hardcover volume. I'm like, wow, that was really good. I enjoyed that. If Jamie's listening, I absolutely recommend Jamie Jones's Baboon. So I feel that Marvel and DC, they don't care about me as a consumer anymore. I am no longer their demographic. They have told me, not personally, but they've told me in no uncertain way, we know you don't like this, but we're going to do it anyway because we don't care and we think you're wrong. And so I choose to spend my money with somebody else. And like I said, for me, it's been more than a decade, and I'm quite okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, dollar bin diving.
Yep, I love that. Still do it.
Uh, hit up any and all comic shops when
Mm-hmm.
they throw a sale.
Yep.
And not for nothing, floppies aren't the selling point.
No. No, they're
Graphic
not.
not graphic novels and trade paperbacks are like 65% of the market.
Yep.
So, I mean, DC really pushed it when they did their first fandom, which was basically San Diego Comic Con, Virtual Con was a big to everybody.
Yeah.
And so they basically did what they would have done with like the movies and the panels and everything with the fandom. They didn't talk about comics at all. The closest they
Right.
came is Jim Lee critiqued one guy's portfolio.
I heard about that. Yeah.
You know,
I didn't watch any of it. But I did hear about it.
because I wanted to see some of the trailers because I still like all the movies and
Sure.
TV
Yeah.
shows,
Yep.
and they didn't really cover hard really any of the TV stuff, and they didn't do anything for comics.
Yeah.
So then they have another one that just happened like this past weekend, and I didn't bother at all. And then I see a clip on YouTube. Hashtag Wonder Woman DC Comics, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And they say because of Wonder Woman coming out, that DC has announced that they're going to be doing 3 one-shots of Wonder Women of history. Can you hear my eyes rolling in the back of my head?
Yeah.
There's 3 women, not Betsy Ross, Susan B. or
Molly Pitcher.
yeah, Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
Nope. AOC, Elizabeth Warren,
No.
and Talib.
No. 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 No.
I'm like, when this year ends, so do my new comics.
Yeah. Well, as an independent comic book maker, let me encourage you not to use the words "my new comics in," but you could say "my new corporate comics in," and still take that money and buy the thing that you love, which is comic books, but use it to explore independent creators.
I have been. I went broke real quick because I
Yeah. Oh yes, Hyper Potato. I agree. Back Silverline. Yep. I'll tell you, Will. We've got so you got we got Cat and Mouse, right? That was the first one that kind of relaunched. We did, and that's going to be a 4-issue miniseries. And then we did a Bloodline. I'm sorry. Then we did Twilight Grim and Divinity. Both of those are out and available, and they're both 4-issue miniseries. Then we did Bloodline and we did Friar Rush. Bloodline is a one-shot that's out and available. Friar Rush is one of 3. Now we're doing Cat and Mouse, which is the 3rd issue. And we're doing Trumps, which there's going to be 2 of the books, but there's really kind of 4 issues in as far as
because they're double sided. Yeah,
they're double sized, yeah. So there's that. Then we've got on the horizon, we've got one called, and I'm sure I'm going to forget something, but we've got a 4-issue miniseries. Oh, we've got Kalis. I'm sorry, I forgot Kalis. Brett, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. We've got Kalis, which 1 and 2 is out. And then we've got he's finished with number 3, I think, and we're working on number 4. Yeah, Hyper Potato says Brian Shearer's Gunship, which is a very much a Transformers. He was a Transformers artist, and it's very much a Transformers kind of book. So then coming up though, we've got a project called, well, I already mentioned the Champion and Miss Fury, which is tied to Cat and Mouse. We're gonna have another Demon miniseries. The first Demon miniseries was drawn by Paul Pelletier. Alex is going to draw this one once we're finished with Cat and Mouse. We've got a miniseries called Steam Patriots coming out, which is basically steampunk American Revolution, which should be ready probably in November. We've got another one that I'm working on. It's called The Rejects. It's I don't have my pitch fully formed yet, but it's basically the story of rejected superheroes. It's the superheroes that couldn't make it to the Avengers, the Justice League, all the Fantastic Four, all the big super teams. And so it's a story about rejected superheroes.
The Legion of Substitute Heroes.
Very much along those same lines. We've got Ron Fortier doing a book called Satin's Ways. Ron Fortier, it's a guy. If you read independent comics in the '80s, Ron Fortier was the guy who wrote Green Hornet.
I was going to say, I'm not familiar with Green Crap.
No, I kept trying to say Green.
Well, except for I just left Taco Bell.
Yeah, Green Hornet.
Green Hornet, yeah.
Yeah, for now. And there's more, but it's kind of exciting because we're doing a lot of fun stuff. Yes, Ron Fortier did write a lot of great comics. I know, and I feel bad that I had a brain fart on the Green Hornet. Ron's a great guy.
I was actually collecting the Green Hornet back in the '80s.
You've got Ron Fortier
and
books
somewhere in my collection, if you remember, they released a litho of the Green Hornet. It was the Green Hornet, Kato, and Black Beauty, and the actor who played Green Hornet was still alive. And he signed all of these lithographs.
Wow.
And they were limited, I think, to I don't know, probably like 500 or 5,000, something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a crazy number because it was like an independent thing. But our shop bought like a dozen of them, and not a single one of them made it to the shelf.
Wow.
I've still got mine somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole. I mean, when I first started doing comics again, a few years ago, my intent was not to relaunch Silverline. My intent was just like, hey, I'm teaching. I love comics. I'd like to make some again, and so I want to kind of get back in and make some comics. And excuse me. And what I discovered at the time was that there were people like Dean and like Barb that had worked in comics at one point in time, but then when the crash kind of came in the late '90s, they were kind of pushed out for a younger and cheaper labor. Is what it really amounts to. And there were people kind of that worked in the '90s that were like, I still want to do comic books. I still like comic books, but I don't really, there's not a place for me because Marvel and DC are hiring all the young bucks to come in. And so I said, well, why don't you come do a project with me? It's kind of how it started. Why don't you do a project with me? And it really just began to grow. And then next thing you know, Silverline was reborn. I launched the website for Silverline last in 2019, May or June, I think. Green Crap was canceled after issue 1. Yeah.
They went too far with that scratch and sniff cover.
Yeah.
And before you knew it, you ended up creating a big, huge shared universe.
A whole new, yeah. Well, it's not really a shared universe. I mean, the stuff that I do is kind of it has a tendency to be a shared universe. John Medic, who is the writer creator for Sniper and Rook, is going to bring Sniper and Rook over into Silverline, and we're going to end up kind of meshing his world with the Cat and Mouse world. But thank you, Hyper Potato. You're just making my head swell and swell and swell. But yeah, what happened is it just kind of took off, and the next thing I know, I turn around and we got a dozen different books in the works, and I'm like, holy mackerel, how did this happen? But it's exciting because there's a lot of people. Who want to do comics. Those covers I mentioned the name Roberta Conroy, um, and the way Roberta is a former Malibu comics colorist, and the way she got involved with Silverline is somebody posted something. I don't remember what it was, and probably an old Ultraverse book. And Roberta made a post on Facebook. She said, "I miss coloring comic books," and so I sent her a message and I said, "Oh, do you now?" And so we began to swap some messages, and next thing you know, she's coloring comic books for Silverline. So um, and she was a Malibu colorist back in the '90s. So I'm not. She's a lady, so I'm not going to ask her age. But she was coloring comic books back in the '90s. Um, and so yeah, I will say we
She's
are.
29.
She's 29. That's right. We're having a lot of fun making these comics, and I believe, and maybe Hyper Potato did just kind of confirm it. I believe that the fun that we're having translates to fun in the comics, translates to fun reading, and if you could ask me, is there any philosophy of Silverline? I don't really have, and I probably ought to. But for me, the key is it needs to be fun. If we're not having fun, it's going to show. The reader is going to know that we're not having fun. And if we're not having fun, well, who the heck cares that you're doing it? Go do something else. If this is not fun, go dig a ditch. Go do something. But I have fun doing this, and so I appreciate the crowdfunders because they allow me the ability to make the comics and then get them out, and I don't have to. In the '90s, I had to spend thousands of dollars to print. Thanks to print on demand, today I can just print. If we need 200 books, I just go and print 200 books. In the '90s, I had to print a minimum of 3,000 copies.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and I know it pains some people to hear, but I had to throw away boxes, or I didn't have to. I threw away boxes of stuff that I just didn't feel like would move, and I kind of wish I had them back now because I could give them away as freebies. But I wasn't thinking that back then. I was thinking, oh, I printed 3,000 books. I moved 1,000 of them. These other 2,000 will probably never go, so let me chunk 1,500 of them away. You know, and that's kind of what I ended up doing.
Yeah, just the whole thing has changed so much. I mean, like the first few episodes of this show that I did ran me broke for a month and a half because Kickstarter and Indiegogo went, oh well, these wrapped up. We're gonna take all your money because I'd sit and talk with somebody at length about their project and their passion for it and everything, and I'd be looking at it and go, wow, this sounds cool.
Yeah.
I gotta buy this.
Yep.
Oh, but I gotta buy the ketchup version. And
Yeah.
well, no, I'm gonna buy the ketchup version with the sketch variants. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, next thing I know, it's like, I go to pay my local comic shop, because of COVID and because I'm disabled. They ship me like $100 box of comics like every month. So I get it in the mail. I get a text from him. I go, oh, I see the book showed up. Here's your tab. Whenever you can PayPal me, thank you. And I went to do it, and it kept telling me my card was no good.
Uh-oh.
So I called up my card. Your balance is $5.65. I'm like, what? and I freaked out, and then I realized, oh yeah, I backed Connor's project because his Sword of Sorrows reminded me of Lone Wolf and Cub. I backed the Jump from Ryland Grant. I backed this from this guy. I backed this zombie book from another guy. I'm like, oh. And I'm
Yeah,
not. I mean, I'm not sorry I did it because
it's good
you know,
stuff.
I went. I supported Ryland digitally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I got to read. You know, Jump,
Yep.
and he gave everybody a free copy of Banjack's one,
Yep. I
and
backed that one.
his prior series issue one, and a bunch of other stuff. I do not quite 5 minute reviews, so I waited until everybody got their books because I saw everybody posting about it last
Yeah.
week. I go, so I'm going to wait a week and then do it. So I did that for a 5 minute review today, and you know, in between, I read stuff that I want to read. Like I dug through a box, so for like the last week or so, I've been reading the Long Shot miniseries from Arthur
Oh,
Adams again,
that was good.
and I've got like a few other things. So I'm like attempting to sell off stuff that I don't need or don't collect anymore because
Yeah.
at one time I was collecting like about 100 books a month,
Whew. Yeah.
and because I was making decent money, so it
I feel you.
didn't really matter to me. But now I'm just like, no, I can't do this.
I I know hyper in hindsight it breaks my heart too. I really wish I hadn't have done it. I had a I can tell you exactly what they were. I had a box of Miss Fury number twos, and which when Malibu when Marvel shuttered Malibu, they closed down the warehouse, and I got a telephone call. I won't say from who. I got a telephone call from one of the warehouse guys saying, "Hey, we're throwing away all of your comics, not just mine, but they was throwing away all the comics from the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
But they said, hey, I've got all of the ones that you did in a pile if you want to come get them." And so I went and I got them. I grabbed Rocket Ranger. I grabbed some Cat and Mouses they had. Yeah, I know Miss Fury is hard to find now. I will tell you, and here's the sad thing. Okay, I have a box up there that has 30 copies of number one, number three, and number four. Guess what? I don't have any copies of
Number
number
two,
two. And so
somebody threw them away.
I have reached. I know. I have reached out to like Mile High Comics. I'm like, hey, can you? I want to because they have some listed, and I'm like, yeah, but I want to buy 30. Will you give me? I don't want to buy them all at your retail price here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, I'm going to put them with the other books, and I'm going to sell them as a set. And I can't get anybody from Mile High to return my emails or which is weird because I know Chuck kind of. He did an. You can find an interview that Chuck interviews me from San Diego Comic Con, I think, back in the '90s. But I can't. They may not have that many. I don't know. But I wish that somebody would at least. So I'm trying. I'm searching for someone who can give me a little stack of Miss Fury 2s so I can make some sets. Um, but anyway, so yeah, I went and I took all of those, and the problem was I had like these big boxes, right? I mean, I had these boxes that had like 500 copies of them, and I think I probably had like 3 boxes of Miss Fury, and I took them around with me for a while and sold a whole bunch of them, and then I thought, I'm never gonna get rid of these, so I literally took a box of Miss Fury number twos, and I think some of them I had some Switchblade threes in there, and I set them on the curb, and the trash man picked them up, and they were gone forever. And now in hindsight, I wished I had them back because, like I said, I could, if nothing else, I could give them away. If someone buys one, I'll give one away, or use them as incentives, not incentives, but I don't know, whatever. I can think of a lot of things I could do with them now, but. Uh, Yeah, please do that. It's absolutely worth a shot. Like I said, they listed on the website, so I know they have a couple, and so my thoughts were if they've got 10, 15, 20, I would buy all of them, and then I could put some together some copies of Miss Fury. Because what I'd like to do when we do the Champion of Miss Fury, I'd like to be able to have say, hey, here's Champion of Miss Fury, and then here's a level where you get the Miss Fury, set of Miss Furies that I did from the '90s. That's what I would like to do, but I gotta find Miss Fury number twos first. Yeah.
So hopefully we'll find some Miss Fury number 2s because Hyper wants a set.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us this evening.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me and for having me. I've had fun.
We've had a wonderful comic book conversation.
Absolutely.
A little bit of a bitch fest at some points, but
I didn't mean to make it that. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're lucky I didn't make it a bitch fest through the whole thing. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Hyper, I'd be happy to sign those for you. Yeah. There are two versions of the first issue of that. One of them, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the retail price back then was $225 or $250 of the regular versions. Malibu released I don't know, an enhanced version of number 1 that had reprinted some of the original Miss Fury pages in the back. Had some Mitch Bird sketches as well. But yeah, there were two different versions of number 1, and I think that one retailed for $4.95. I think. I can't remember if it was embossed or something. I can't remember now. But yeah, there are definitely two versions of number 1.
Had some kind of gimmicky thing on the cover.
Yeah, yep, some kind of gimmicky thing. I mean, Lorene Haynes did painted all the covers, so they were gorgeous. But I can't remember I can't remember everything that made that version special. But yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you very much for making the offer on the Madness page and for giving me the opportunity to come in here and talk about my Kickstarter, and hopefully folks will go check it out and give us a look and take a chance on us.
Yeah, most definitely. The link for the Kickstarter is actually in the chat somewhere that it does not say Hyper Potato. Roland's Twitter handle is in there too. It is his name in reverse, Man Roland instead of Roland Mann. And the Kickstarter is also in the show notes, either up above or down below, depending on where you're watching us. If you're watching us on the Outright Geekery Facebook page, please give us a follow and a like there. And if you're watching on one of the YouTube channels, please consider subscribing and smashing that like button. Please make sure you check out these books. It's kind of like a 2-for-1 Kickstarter.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of like a 2-for-1 Kickstarter. You get 2 books together, save on shipping.
That's right.
And, you can get some awesome art.
Yeah.
I know Potato would love to have some art. And there's a lot to choose from.
Yes. Let me hold this in my hand again and kind of flip through them once more so you can kind of see there's so many pages here that I'm turning it the wrong way, aren't I? Let's see if I do it this way. So many pages from here that you can choose from. That one's gone, sorry. Mike Belcher's page is still there. There's the Jamie Jones, the Alex sketches here. The Alex it's fallen. Sorry. The Alex Gallimore pencils. And then where did I do with the inks? I thought I put them all right back here. Oh, right here on front there's the Trump's inks, right? Thomas Flormonti. I already showed that. A huge stack though, all kinds of original art. I think I have some. Oh yeah, this one hasn't been added yet. I'm actually getting ready to add this, and this is an original cover to Trump's that was penciled by Alex Sarabia and inked by Barb Kelberg, and then of course this one's going to go up. This is an inked page from Cat and Mouse. This is ink page 16. And I think the pencils are also available of this one as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm adding these. These haven't been added yet. I will probably add them either tomorrow or Wednesday. Tomorrow, we launched last Tuesday, so tomorrow will be, I guess today's technically a week, but tomorrow we'll start a second week. So I'll probably add some more pages for tomorrow.
And you can always email Roland, send him a private message, and work out some kind of deal to get the same art, but one pencil and one ink. That way you can frame them and hang them up side by side.
That's right.
It'll look nice. But until then, look at the Kickstarter, scroll through, look at all the art, and it could probably take you a day to narrow it down to just 3 choices. Please consider backing the project.
Yeah, please do.
All the information, like I said, is in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching us. Also, if you enjoyed this show and you want to support us on Patreon, our Patreon link is in the show notes as well. You can, you can choose just the tip. That's right, $1.
Buy you a beer.
Oh, hold on. No, they can't afford to buy me beer. There's a few different things in there. And you can also check out Outright Geekery swag on Bonfire at bonfire.com/store/Outright Geekery. Shirts, hats, hoodies. Hoodies are good because, it's getting cold. Unless you live in California.
Yeah, or Florida.
Of Florida, yeah. So, you wouldn't want a hoodie.
No.
We got T-shirts.
I like T-shirts. I do like T-shirts.
But until next time, please check out all the links and check out the books. Happy reading and buy some indie comics today, would you?
That's right.